Hey everybody, it's Matthew Seaman with St. John's Recovery Place, and today is a very special day. We have Ryan Terry, our program director, with me today. And how many minutes do we have? 7 or 8?
For you, 8.
Oh, 8 minutes. We have 8 minutes just to check in. But I've been trying to get Ryan for weeks or months now, just to sit down and kind of talk about, well, let's just get right into it.
Yeah.
So I've been curious, like, what is it that brought you to St. John's Recovery Place besides me?
Besides you, I mean, obviously,
it kind of was me.
That's why I'm here still. I think early on I just had heard such great things, and it just my earliest interactions when I was actually a staff member at another place, just kind of left a really nice feeling and vibe, and then when we talked and I had the opportunity when some things kind of opened
Which,
up.
by the way, I jumped on that, didn't I?
You did. And I really appreciate that, because I was still not even sure what I was going to do and where I wanted to go, and thankfully I consider it a blessing that I got a chance to respond to you and connect with Michelle, and I mean, it was probably just a few minutes into the interview and just being here in this beautiful building and space before I really kind of knew this was the right fit. So.
I kind of knew too. I was hoping and praying that you would take the opportunity, just because March was a year though, so I've been here like a year and a half, and I felt that too. That feeling that you're talking about. I think it was a couple minutes into meeting with Michelle, and I was like, "This is my place." So,
yeah, I feel the same.
And I know that when I'm meeting with people out in the field and stuff, I talk about sort of, and I don't want to over-explain, but there's like a mindfulness kind of approach. So why don't you go ahead and explain what our, not philosophy, I don't want to get too philosophical, but what is it about here that maybe sets us apart from other places?
Yeah, so I think mindfulness is definitely the verbiage. I think it's thrown around a lot, but I think what we're really doing is so much of changing any behavior. I think takes a deeper level of awareness, and I think we strip everything else away. That's what we try to do in all of our groups to some extent, is to get different perspectives, different vantage points, explore the whole continuum of potential healing that can happen in therapy. And again, it's like learning styles. Everybody's different.
Right.
So here, when people come here, we don't. It's not a cookie cutter approach, and I've really been given the resources and support that we really individualize everybody that walks through the door, and that's really I think amazing. And unfortunately I don't think it's all that common.
Yeah.
But we really can do that. And so when a client comes in through the doors, we want to really see them holistically and respond to their needs with them leading, and then I think with the right sort of attention and compassion behind it, I think that that people can find what works for them. And I just had a client leave here who no formal experience with meditation. She just wanted to stop drinking, and she was so motivated to do that she kind of just she kept an open mind. She ended up identifying with all types of cool practices that we get to do here. I think you've done videos with the NIT team and Regina, and she had no idea. She responded so well to that. We did a lot of work on the on DBT therapy, which is really a lot of good efficacy there.
Dialectical behavioral therapy.
Yeah, sounds good. You said it very well. But a lot of that is about mindfulness, coming home to ourselves. If I can just say one more thing about it, I think that in the bedrock of my philosophy, and I think that the team we have here, it's important to just kind of pause and look at the word recovery. Like, it gets said a lot, and I agree.
I agree.
But the word is so beautiful. Like, it implies that we're not becoming new people, like that we're trying to that we needed help to reinvent. We're finding something that allows us to change. That's always been there. It's recovering, and I love that idea that we if we can learn to go home to ourselves, then we sort of have it.
This is way better than I thought you were going to do.
No,
because
I just don't believe that. And I think
it shows.
It's such a beautiful invitation. Like I said this to the group. I just ran a group. I told you I was all jazzed up when I came.
Yeah.
Because I love that. And we said something to the effect of like, what if addiction is really just a beautiful invitation to come home to ourselves? And I think when you take it that way, deep healing is possible. It helps with bringing down the shame and aggression that is a part of this, I think, for a lot of people. And
Well, because
yeah.
and you often hear, not to interrupt you, I'm
No,
sorry,
that's
but
okay.
you often hear about the substance use or the alcoholism being sort of a symptom of an
Definitely.
underlying issue. And I know in my recovery, I'll have 5 years on Monday.
Congratulations.
I can't believe
Amazing.
it. But I'm just saying, like, the first year was really about getting, a safe routine,
Right.
where I wasn't going to be, where I wasn't going to relapse. Let's just be frank about it. But really, at that point, then it became, there's so much more I need to work on. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
And the
God,
last
yeah.
4 of the 5 years have really been like all of those sort of behavioral issues that were taking place before, and throughout my addiction, and just sort of unraveling those
Exactly.
and reweaving sort of a definition of who I was going to be.
Yeah.
Or who
That's
I don't know that you ever get there, but
Right. Yes, we're like all.
it's
works in
definitely a better
progress.
path.
Definitely, yeah, that's a path like we're actually not harming ourselves and denying who we really are. And I think that I totally believe that that addiction is a symptom
Yeah.
of deeper problems, and I think when people come here, that is a huge part of what we get to explore. Like again, just in the last group, we're talking about attachment theory and attachment and trauma. And when we really look at this, these are what the current research is saying are the most important things, or some of the most important things to look at, because they're all about the underlying behaviors. Essentially, like we learn before we're old enough to even speak how to act when we
How to
feel
get
stressed,
what we want.
how to get what we want, how to manipulate, how to be hyper vigilant,
Right.
how to micromanage our feelings and not cause any ripples in the pond,
Right.
depending on the house we grew up in, and all of that. I think and a lot of that is another way of saying we for the sake of keeping our attachments going, we suppress who we really are. We suppress the authenticity, and
Listen,
that
as a member of the
comes-
LGBT community, I can tell you that a lot of my growing up was sort of suppressing who
Sure.
I am. You know what I mean? Just to either not be confronted or try to conform.
Sure.
Or
And then the problem with that is we make
then you
some-
had addiction on that,
Right.
and it's like I was ready to die by 17.
and if I'd have asked you at 17,
Well, where were you, Ryan,
I-
when I needed you in 1987?
where was I? 19?
Were you
It was a good
born
year.
at
Yes,
least?
I was born.
Okay,
I was
jeez.
born. I was probably in the ocean or something. But no,
Wait, back up real quick though. I got to tell you, because you were mentioning the young lady that had just left, who
Yeah.
really latched
Awesome,
onto
yeah.
the meditation. So Jessica and I host an alumni support group on Tuesdays and Friday nights, and she has been raving about how beneficial the meditation's been for her.
That's
So I know who you're
Okay,
talking
cool,
about,
cool.
because she cannot stop raving
It's
about the
just-
magic that
I love
happens.
it. I love it. And we see people like all types of stuff. Identify with just when we're really willing to see the whole person.
Right.
When we're really willing to look with soft, loving eyes at someone who's just in a really tough place. You just see the healing start. You see people kind of be able to,
Right.
and then they get when they're calm enough and they're willing and hopeful, then they can actually try it.
Because when they come in, they're not looking at themselves with loving eyes.
Not at all. Not at all.
So I mean, that's
Right.
for them to experience that from externally, and then allow that to start happening internally.
I think we have to, human beings we are modelers, and we model what we see. And if we never got taught to look at ourselves that way, or if we never got taught how to ask for help, I mean, then
Receive that love from external.
Or receive it. If
Right.
we don't know what that feels like, we've never seen it. It's almost an impossible task to ask a human to do it.
Right.
We don't work that way, and so it's just such an amazing. I mean, it's a great honor of my life to be able to be a part of that process for people.
And you're really, really good at it.
Thank you.
No,
I appreciate
I say that because I've obviously known you since you were at 3 treatment centers
Yeah.
ago, and I know that I know some of your clients from years ago who still speak very highly
I
of you.
appreciate
So to be
it.
able, it's kind of like when you had that favorite teacher. You know what I mean? So you're
that's
so
high praise. I love
well, no, but
teachers.
that's good. That's good news, and we're so grateful to have you
Thank
here.
you. I'm
I do
grateful.
think you're a perfect fit for what we're trying to do here, between the neurointegration and a lot of the experiential services, I
Yeah.
guess, that we offer. That I think having a very mindful program director is probably a good fit.
I hope so.
And I say you're taking them tomorrow. You take them
Yeah.
on the Saturday activities.
Yeah, taking them. We've been going to the Springs. We have a beautiful. I mean, we're in a part of Florida that I hadn't spent a lot of time in, but it's just if you like the outdoors and beautiful settings to do all types of activities and just to do groups in. I mean, this beautiful lake behind us. We've been on the boat out in the middle of that lake doing our meditation out there. And
on a pontoon boat.
On a pontoon boat. And doing some
Weather
fishing in
permitting.
between. Of course, safety first.
Life jackets.
Safety first. Oh yeah. And
but yeah, even
it's
the dock,
amazing.
even the doing the morning meditation on the dock and stuff.
It's great to get out. Anytime we can get out of the building, I think it serves a few purposes. One, it's just good to break up. We can all get into monotony, and it can be. If people are doing everything we ask them to do here, it's a lot of good work. But we need to balance that with time to let that sink in, and sometimes just going out in nature and doing some mindful walking, or even just doing like kind of some team building out there. You'll have people go, wow, that group this morning, I'm really thinking about that in this way. And so it's really cool. We do, on Saturdays, we really infuse our program with something I'm really proud to bring here, which is the Red Road of Sobriety, which is the Native American curriculum for recovery. They were way ahead of the game. They 25 plus years ago didn't separate mental health and addiction. We've caught up to that.
They kind of go hand in hand.
They always do. Like,
I'm either drinking because I'm depressed, or I'm depressed because I can't stop drinking.
Right. And if it's been going on a long time, they've both taken on lives of their own. You know? And so
absolutely.
I just think it's so cool to be able to do different ways. Again, like we've started our conversation with different ways, sort of ways to come at this mind, body, spirit crisis. A lot of times is what it is. And so it's just amazing to see who attaches to what and the insights made. But yeah, it's just been great.
Well, and you mentioned too about people learning differently, and I think you're absolutely right. Recovery is different. I mean, anybody who knows either themselves or their kids. I mean, some kids are more visual, some are more auditory, some are, and especially now with all the homeschooling, people are definitely learning more about their kids. Yeah. Not that our clients are kids, but I'm just saying, like, the recovery is the same way.
But recovery is the same way, and there's some I think that's not understanding and seeing the freedom that people kind of feel, or the excitement when you say, oh yeah, we're not going to do maybe what you've had up to this point, which is this is the only way. You don't say anything about it. If you want to be sober and happy, you got to do it this way. And I don't think that's ever how it. Rarely is probably how it's meant to come across.
Right.
But I think that this is such a stressful, like the stakes are so high. I think people could feel that that's the message, and then feel like that doesn't apply to them for whatever reason, for all types of reasons. And so we encourage, just to be involved in any type of community support, and to build, like you said a minute ago, to really build the routine of recovery. People come in here. I don't spend much time at all. I don't know about other therapists, other places. I don't do much. We don't need to talk too much about what not to do. Most people that I know, they know very well
That's what got them
to
here.
do.
Yeah,
like they're the expert.
So
already.
don't do what I've been doing for however many years. Yeah.
Well, they know that. So what I think is a much more interesting question is what they are going to do.
Right.
So instead of it even being, I don't even use the terms relapse prevention planning. I use, what's your routine of recovery? Like, what is it you get to do? And to me, and maybe that's just the way that I'm wired, like it almost doesn't matter what I'm doing. If I feel like I have to do something, it's just what I got to do. It's not as nice as when I get to do it. And I get to do it. Like I get to come to work.
I feel like I get to come to work.
I love it. Yeah, and that reframe is so important, I think. And so we use it here.
Well, thank you.
Oh, that's it?
That was, well, I mean, I feel like you could go on forever, but I know you're wrapping up your day.
We'll just do another one. Stay tuned for part 2.
Yeah, part 2, September, Recovery Month. We'll be here. Anyway, thank you so much.
Thanks,
I appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.
All right, talk to you soon, guys.